So along with that, we'll talk about each individual tool here. The first tool we get to is the aggressive blade at the front. The blade there, it was built to actually move substantial dirt or screenings or clay, whatever it is you're dealing with, if need be. But primarily for grooming, you just want to use a little bit of that blade for that application. It'll level out your major lumps and humps, and that's the first tool to hit the screenings or the infield material. Followed by the roller, a crumbler roller that will break up any lumps that make it through the blade and firm down the surface a little bit. Goes back to a floating leveling blade that will float and level it out smoothly. Both these tools are self-leveling tools. They hinge at this point here, both of them, and there's no adjustment required on those. They just self-level and they do their application. Followed by a roller. And this is a very important tool. It acts as a gauge wheel for your unit, and we'll talk about that in the setup portion. Acts as a gauge wheel and also firms your surface as it comes along. Heavy duty tines, ripper tines, they have got a special application, and very often in your regular grooming you actually don't even use these, but they're certainly a good tool to have, and we'll talk about that more in a little bit as well. And then the broom at the back, just simply there just to give it the finished look. It's not there to move material. It's simply there to give you the nice brushed finish that everybody wants when they've done the grooming. Setup on this unit. I had mentioned earlier this roller has several applications. Firming up the surface is one, certainly. Second application is it acts as a gauge wheel for this unit. The unit should always be running on the roller. That roller should always be in contact with the surface. So what I like to instruct people to do is, when they come to the setup mode, extend this top link. This particular unit is set up with a hydraulic cylinder. A lot of units are set up with a mechanically adjusted link. They both do exactly the same function. This is just a whole lot easier and more convenient to do. Extend that link to its full extent. Drop your unit down and just pull ahead a wee little bit. If you drop your unit straight down, this blade will contact the surface, and it actually acts as a jack to hold it, a support to hold the back of the unit up. And you don't want that when you're using the machine, so drop it down, pull ahead slowly until this moves back, and then this is on the surface. Keep moving forward slowly and collapse this cylinder, shorten this cylinder. You collapse this cylinder until your blade, the front blade, touches your surface. Just touches your surface at this point. And then just keep moving forward a little bit. If you're setting it up to do a grooming application, you want this blade into the surface by about an eighth, 3/8, maximum 1/4 inch into your surface here. And at that point, you hold your cylinder at that point and the unit is set up. Keep your 3-point hitch lever in float position at all times and when you're operating the unit, and it'll constantly maintain that level and that depth. At that point then, these units here, they just self-level, they pivot here, they self-level, The other unit that you do need to adjust is your broom. You want a little bit of deflection on your broom. Too many times these brooms are set up where they're moving too much dirt, and you don't want that. You're just wearing them out prematurely. So you just want a wee bit of deflection, and that is done with these cranks. Rear broom is set up with these extensions, and they're set up to be a safety feature. They extend out beyond the edge of the unit and your tires to wipe out any marks on the back and to get a smooth level transitioning into the next pass. So these are set up so that if you hit a fence, hit a post, whatever, they'll just snap back. Minimize damage to the machine and to your fence. Another unit that we have, this unit is set up with a water tank, water application for dust control. This is an option, of course, as is this here. Just point that out. Optional equipment here. 50 gallons of water adds quite a bit of weight to the unit, roughly 500 pounds. So the tractor we've got on here is a 40 horse tractor. Lots of power for this unit. The area where you do need to be careful with is counterbalance, especially with a water tank. Adding 500 pounds, you're going down the road and you've got a light front end. So we've got additional weights on here. So that's something you would have to check with your unit and your power unit to see how they are comparing for that, how they're set up. So you want to just be careful with the extra weight. A nozzle at the front, a nozzle at the back to lay your dust control. Get into situations in the city where there's homes right around the perimeter, and they appreciate it very much if you control that dust as much as you possibly can. Yeah. The other application that happens with a water tank is it gives you that extra weight when it's required in a hard, dry surface to penetrate the surface. Gives you the stability and the weight to do that. So it's just a byproduct of having that option on it. The other option we have on this unit is the sweeper. Power, hydraulically driven sweeper. It folds down. Folds down, and it's spring loaded as well. If you hit a post or a fence, spring loaded to minimize damage to the equipment and to the fence. You control the depth of that, the aggressiveness of it, with the tilt of your unit and the height that you're carrying it with. So this is powered, hydraulically powered, sweeps along the edge of the fences, along the curvature of the grass, between the infield product and the grass, sweeping the screenings, the clay off the grass. Good tool to have. Minimizes a lot of hard work. Heavy tines, and they are used to break up the surface. If you get into a hot, dry summer, sometimes you need to have a little bit more material to work with. So in a case like that, you would just lower them down so that they're into the application by about a 3/4 inch to an inch, just to give you a little bit more material on the surface. That's one application. The second application for these tools would be if you'd have a wet surface and you need to get it dried up to be able to groom it. You drop these down, lift up your machine, drop these down just so that they're into the surface by about an inch, and just rip up your entire infield to allow the air to get in there and to speed up the drying process. Very effective for that. When you're hooking up to your power unit, you want to be careful and diligent in having the proper size pins in your 3-point hitch and your top link. Proper size pins to keep any chatter out of it and keep it firm to the tractor. The other thing that is extremely important when you hook up to your power unit, pick it up on the 3-point hitch, come back and have a look at it and make sure it's level with your tractor. It's got to be totally level with your tractor. If it isn't, basically all tractors have adjustment on the lift links here on your tractor to raise or lower each side so you get it perfectly level with your tractor.